Welcome everyone to the December 22nd, 2025 Wallet Interoperability SIG for the Open Wallet Foundation. As with all Linux Foundation meetings, this is held under the Linux Foundation antitrust policy / competition policy. If you have any questions about these matters, please contact your company counsel, or if you're a member of the Linux Foundation, feel free to contact Andrew Updegrove of the firm Gesmer Updegrove LLP, which provides legal counsel to the Linux Foundation. In addition, this is held under the Linux Foundation Code of Conduct, which can best be summed up as be excellent to each other, and we're going to get a ton of work done. This meeting is being recorded and it's going to be posted to the OWF YouTube. And thanks, Zoom. You just lost my. I'm going to put the link to this wiki page and a link to that YouTube in chat in 1 second. If there's someone new here today and they'd like to introduce themselves, you're more than welcome. As we're an identity community, you don't have to introduce yourself. But if you'd like to, we can give you a second for that. And the housekeeping can be super quick because we want to get to our awesome community members and guests. All right, cool. If you'd like to present the Wallet Interoperability SIG and want to see who's presenting next, the link will be put in the chat in a moment. And there will be no Wallet Interoperability SIG call next week. Happy holidays to all. From an agenda perspective, no call next week. I just said that. The architecture SIG is also going to start back up again in January, and the playlist will be given a link. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Timo and Anna and Azer. Did we lose it? Oh, there he is. Great. Thank you so much for joining us today and presenting. We do appreciate it. We're really excited to see this. I got to see a sneak preview of this over the summer. So, yeah, it should be a treat for everybody. Anna, Timo, and Azer, it's up to
Yeah, great. Let me share my screen. If I get that working.
We can see a browser window.
You can see it now?
Yes.
Yeah, qualified electronic
Yeah,
signatures.
great.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having us. So today we'll be sharing a bit about our work and our learnings, building some qualified electronic signatures functionality into our open source European digital identity wallet. And with we, I'm talking about Timo and I from the Animo team who were working on the wallet. And we're so grateful and happy to have Azer join us as well,
Hello.
who is from Docusign and who we worked with to achieve, yeah, an integration, interoperability, yeah, achievement, I would say. Maybe a very quick introduction. So I'll start. I'm Anna Goossens. 6 years ago already now, Timo and I founded Animo Solutions. We do a lot of digital identity work. We used to almost solely do open source digital identity work. We still do a lot of that, but now we also do some product work. And we've been working in the wallet field a bit more recently. So we developed the European Digital Identity Wallet prototype for the German government, which we'll be showing today as well. Timo, do you want to do a bit of an introduction? I think you're the most known in this group.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Timo, CTO of Animo Solutions, and I mostly, work on all the technical infrastructure we built, do a lot of the wallet work, and also on the interoperability and standards integration work.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ezer Farham from Docusign. For many years, I'm part of the product and the engineering departments of Docusign and mostly following up on the EIDAS, IDAS 1, IDAS 2 regulation and the standardization body. I also participate in Etsy and SEN work groups. And it's a very, very interesting era of introducing the wallets, especially the EUDI wallets, MDLs. So very interesting.
I mean, and definitely a very lively era because I think Timo and I were, when we heard we were going to be implementing qualified electronic signatures, I think the only company we could think of initially was like, oh, like what DocuSign does. And then we reached out, and the DocuSign team was actually interested in working on this with us, which kind of means we are really in a new era of digital identity. Because I think for years and years, um, this kind of work was going on in these types of groups in small cliques, and we're seeing more and more now that it is now really an enterprise issue, and teams are getting interested. So this is really exciting, I think, for all of us in this call probably. What we want to discuss with you guys today and show you, I'll start us off and I'll talk a bit about this wallet we're building and show it, and give some context on why qualified electronic signatures are so important or unique within this infrastructure. Then we'll go slowly into the way it is functioning currently, how Docusign views this, and what we actually built, and we'll do some demos along the way. Feel free to ask questions when you think of them. Just interrupt us. I think that would be nice to have some discussion. So to kick us off, building an EUDI compliant wallet. So we built with Animo this wallet, which we're very proud of. We got the opportunity to do so through the Sprint project, a project started by the German government to create prototypes, open source prototypes for wallets compliant with the European digital identity infrastructure. I think so much has happened already now in a year that you feel like you see more and more wallets, but it is still very important to have some people working ahead, tackling the innovation topics and seeing what is possible and what it should work. So our kind of road to this is that you have this architecture reference framework, which was written and released, a very initial version quite long ago, actually, and nobody really knew what to do with it yet. Then some reference implementation code got made, and I think still a lot of nations were still figuring out what to do. And now we're kind of in the phase where this initial round of large-scale projects in Europe is finished, and the second round is just starting up. So we went really from what should potentially be in this type of digital identity wallet, what should it look like? And then now, how should we actually build infrastructure and test it and collaborate with it? And we're seeing that now a lot of the lessons are being learned when people actually have to collaborate and work with the wallet, build issuers, build verifiers, and test with it. For us, we joined during this phase 1 of the large-scale pilots. In the Sprint project, we were tasked to build a European digital identity wallet that would first be able to accept the PIT, then be able to accept EAAs, and then we would tackle specific innovation topics such as payments, QES, these types of things. Now we're very happy to announce that we will also be participating with this wallet in the second phase of the large-scale pilots to continue testing. And we've really noticed most recently that it's really not over yet. So there's a lot of work still to be done in actually getting the national identity wallet implemented in each country, interoperable, tested, even though the standards keep maturing, which I'm sure that this group, it's no surprise at all that it takes a little bit more time to actually become interoperable. During our process of building this open source wallet, we delivered quite a lot of open source tools. So we built the wallet itself, which is built on Credo. It's an open source code base. You can use it, you can see it. It's in app stores, but also the repository is free to use. And we built a playground to go along with it. The playground is, the code is both open source and the playground is available. I would say that if based on this, you are going to take a look at it, wait maybe 1 month, because we're doing a really big revamping of the playground to make it a bit more easy to use and a bit more clear. But the goal of this to kind of be able to test the wallet and play around with it. During the building, we contributed to several projects. I think maybe I would ask Timo to maybe go into a few of these because he is our main contributor king.
Yeah. So during this project, we contributed a lot to Credo. I actually did a previous presentation on that during the special interest group before here. And I think like three of the most the biggest libraries that came out of that is we created a new implementation of OpenE for VC in TypeScript, which supports basically the 1.0 standards of OpenE for VCI, OpenE for VP, and also the high assurance interop profile, which is the baseline for interop in the EU wallet. And we also created a library for DOCL, the new presentation exchange format, and OpenD Federation, which is still more experimental, the OpenD Federation one. But in the coming months, we're going to update that also to the 1.0 standard and expand it a bit more to be really usable in wallets. We're still very interested in also pursuing the OpenD Federation integration more, even though it's not going to be used in the European Union.
Yeah, great. Yeah, we're seeing that OpenID Federation, it's mainly the education sector that we're still seeing a lot of interest in it, because they are also looking already a little bit about how everything should work together outside of the EU, which is something we might all have to start looking a little bit more to. But yeah, OpenID Federation is still quite a complex thing to tackle and quite interesting. So I would definitely urge everyone to take a look at these libraries. Please use them. Take a look at them, open issues. We really created everything during this project with the idea of being like we want to go foundation up. So everything we wanted to add into our wallet, we first added to either Credo or created a specific library for, and then we implemented it in the wallet or we adopted it. So this way we make sure that every feature we encounter that we might need or a nation would need, that it is also available for everyone to use on the open source code level. And now we have a wallet. We're really quite happy with it. It's available not only just for everyone to use, like maybe as a base of their own wallet if they would make one, but it's very useful for testing, because we're now seeing the initial wave of people having to, or companies having to experiment with issuing or verifying infrastructure. And it's always been the case, you can't really test it without a working wallet if what you're building is efficient. So we're seeing a lot of people want to test with it or build with it. There's still a big case for specific wallets instead of general purpose wallets. People are experimenting with it, so it's great to just take, fork, and edit as you want. The current wallet is compliant with HYPE, so the high assurance interoperability profile, compliant with the ARF. I'm always saying this with an asterisk because as far as possible, we continue to work on it. Things keep changing, but it's technically we try to remain technically as compliant as possible with the updates and changes in the standards. It comes with this playground for interoperability testing, and we completed quite a lot of interoperability with the national wallets and relying party applications that participate in the large-scale pilots. And we're continuing to test as we're now joining the aptitude large-scale pilot. So we'll be continuing to test in specific markets. For example, we're participating in the payment use case. So this will be quite interesting to see how payments get or work with the identity wallet. The basic features. So you can onboard in the wallet, you can accept either the PIT or general electronic attestations. You can see your credentials, you can see your history, and you can display the trust information before accepting a wallet or a presentation. We support a lot of flows. So you can play around with that. So cross-device, on-device, proximity flows, the combined presentations. We really like, I'll show that in a bit, presentation during issuance or authentication flows, because they really highlight the usability of the wallet, I think. And then a lot of the innovations we tackled are quite interesting as well. So something we're really excited about is the potential of the digital credentials API, which kind of makes sure that you might never have to open all of these wallets that people are putting a lot of work into, because you'll just be able to skim the wallets and get the credentials as needed. We worked a lot on accessibility, and we implemented the German model for the relying party authentication and authorization. Timo already mentioned our work on OpenID Federation and DACL. And then two big topics that are technically quite related, even though they might not seem that related from a market perspective, are payments and qualified electronic signatures. So I wanted to do a small demo to show just the wallet so we know what we're talking about. I'll have to switch my screen share for this. Let me see if I can do that. Because I'll just share my entire screen. Oh,
We can see both your Hello Erica
yeah, right.
iPhone
Oh,
demo, and on the left
yeah.
side we've got your Animo playground. There you go.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so this is the playground I was talking about. It's getting a big revamp because we wanted to make it very configurable, but as a side effect, it has now maybe become a little bit complicated in terms of configurability. So it has some predefined issuance and verification flows. On the right hand, you can see the wallet. I currently have only one card in there, which is the Personalausweis, which is the PIT issued by Germany. So this is the personal identification card issued by the German government for Erika Mustermann, including all of the attributes that are in there. And just, I think, a flow that will really nicely show the wallet is potentially doing a presentation during issuance flow. In which case I want to get my driver's license from the same Bundesdruckerei. They're offering me a card. But to get my driver's license, I first need to show my identity card to verify that I am actually Erika Mustermann. So it shows me the card and information that will be shared. I'll accept to share. And I will hopefully actually share, yeah. So it will show me the information of the card I'm actually trying to get after the authentication has been completed. This is my portrait of Erika. And I've successfully gotten my new driver's license. So now I have two. I have both my Personalausweis and I have my driver's license. I can see the activity. So I can see that today I've received my driver's license from the Bundesdruckerei. And otherwise it's a quite simple app. So you either scan QR codes or you present if you want to do the in-person flow. Something we're quite proud of recently is that we now support more languages. So volunteers to add more languages are always welcome. Because we think this is we always demo in English and everyone's always happy to demo in English, but still it does something with people to be able to see it in their own language. Let me see. So that's the base wallet. Let me go back to the presentation. So then qualified electronic signatures. Usually, I don't know how many of you have to work with qualified electronic signatures on a day-to-day basis. It's quite a complicated process, in my opinion. I sometimes have to do them, and it can be quite involved. The most important step is that your identity has to be verified, obviously, to be qualified. I remember when we started Animo in the Netherlands, we had to initially set this up, and it meant that a man in a van had to drive to our office, have a physical meeting with me, check my ID once, And then afterwards, I could sign with government instances in the Netherlands. So it's something I think quite a lot of business flows are familiar with, but maybe not a lot of end users. And with the so the initial technology standards for it were introduced and it is quite widely used, but I wouldn't say it's quite widely or easily used with the general public. Now in the implementing acts, it has been stated that the wallet needs to support signing qualified electronic signatures. So in this a bit complex overview of the architecture reference framework with all of the roles in the wallet system, you can see that there's a role for the QES provider as well, who needs to interact with the wallet unit, the actual user, relying parties, and trusted list providers. So this is really the segment that we're discussing now. Yeah, and it's quite relevant, I think, that it's now stated that this wallet, which has to be adopted throughout the EU, will also have to support QES. And with that, I think I'll hand over to Timo on a bit of the technical implications of that.
Yeah. So every wallet will need to be able to support signing of documents. And while you could do it on the wallet itself, theoretically, technically, that's quite complicated because to sign a document, you need a qualified signature creation device, and there's a lot of processes involved. So instead of doing it on the device itself, you can also do it remotely and let it be managed by a QTSP, a qualified trust service provider. But even if you do like a remote signature, it's still important for the QTSP to be able to establish your identity so that they, before putting the signature on the document, they know you authorize the signature creation. So even the signature is not created on your device, you still need to know that the signature creation was authorized by the actual user that wants to sign the document. And so there's two flows that have been explored in the potential large-scale pilots, which are basically the QTSP-centric model and the wallet-centric model. And the QTSP-centric model basically allows, most of it will be managed by the qualified trust service provider and the relying party. And the integration in the wallet is actually very simple. You basically just send a hash of the document you want to sign to the wallet, and the wallet signs over that hash with their identity document in a presentation. That binds basically the credential, the PID presentation, to the document, which can be used as an authorization of the signature creation. And all the other parts are handled by the QTSP and the relying party. Another model that you can use is the wallet-centric model. And in this case, a lot more is handled by the wallet. So it's easier for relying parties. And basically, the wallet needs to choose a QTSP of their own. So an important difference between the flows is that with the QTSP-centric model, a relying party chooses its own QTSP, and basically any QTSP can be used by the wallet. While in the wallet-centric model, the QTSP is chosen by the wallet. One thing, if you can go back 1 second, is I think one thing that would be possible with the wallet-centric model is that you don't necessarily have to share the document with the QTSP, but you could also just share basically the hashed document with the QTSP and only allow that to be signed. Yeah, if you can go to the next one. Let's say you want to get a document signed by the wallet and use the QTSP-centric model. Basically, what will happen is the relying party will interact with the QTSP, and they will prepare a document. You will look at that document in the RP QTSP platform. So, for example, in Docusign, you can see the document, you can prepare everything, and then once you're ready to sign, you will use OpenEther VP's transaction data feature, where you can allow custom transaction data to be sent in a request that will be sent to the wallet, and the wallet then recognizes, okay, hey, this relying party or QTSP is requesting my PIT to be presented, but they're also sharing extra metadata for this document to be signed. And it won't actually include the document itself, but it will just include a hash of the document, and you will then show that in the wallet and sign over that, and then you can send it back to the QTSP, which will then put the signature on the document and then send that back to the relying party. And in this case, the only part that is really important for the interoperability is OpenEther VP and the transaction data attachments there. There is like a cloud signature consortium, the CSC line between the QTSP and the RP, but this is optional. Like they can use this to communicate, but there's no need for that interoperability. Really only this OpenEther VP is important. So then we have the wallet-centric model. And in this case, the wallet will directly interact with the QTSP for signing. The wallet will also show the document within the wallet. So it's more complex because showing a document for signing is not very easy because you need to take into account a lot of rendering complications with showing documents and how they will end up. But you can directly show the document in the wallet here and then interact with the QTSP using the Cloud Signature Consortium APIs for signing. And in this case, the Cloud Signature Consortium APIs are also important for the interoperability. So there's more load on the wallet here, but you also push more to the wallet itself. And instead of showing the document before sending it to the wallet, basically the wallet will take over the document showing functionality.
Hey, Timo, before we jump, I got a question from Stephen Karan in chat. So is the hash used in presentation a replacement for the generic challenge from the RP, or is it an extra thing to sign? As far as I know, the challenge is typically just a UID from the RP, so it's known, unique, and can't be replayed. Is it also used for this?
So it's in addition to the challenge. So it's extra metadata you send to the wallet, and it's a custom field in the credentials. So in case of an STJOT, you add an extra field in the presentation, which is the hash, which can then be used. So you add it on top of the normal challenge, and it's custom logic that needs to be implemented and understood by both the wallet and the relying party.
Okay. I was trying to think of where you get this extra field that you're throwing in. Normally, you've got, just the signature plus the things, the attributes you're signing, and now you're adding an extra piece somewhere, extra piece of data that is going along with your presentation, your attributes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, it is designed like it's described as a generic feature in OpenEther VP, but it is designed in a way that if you don't understand what is happening, you should always abort the request, because it can mean like you're legally signing a document, which is like it's simple to put a signature over the hash, but the meaning behind it is important. So you need to understand the field, and if you don't understand it, the wallet should reject the request because it doesn't know the implications of it.
So it's at the protocol level? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll add to that part of the requirements for QES, Qualified Electronic Signature, is to have a strong binding of the user to the actual document. And this is the way you get this binding, by enabling or passing as well the hash of the document as part of the transaction from the wallet to the part or to the QTSP that actually creates the QES. So it's required from the standards to include this binding of the document itself to the user and to the transaction itself.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out whether it's tied to the protocol, the OpenID protocol flow for VP, or is it at the credential level?
It's at the OpenEther VP level. in a generic way. So the OpenWallet
Okay.
level just allows a verifier to include an array of additional metadata in the request. And each of these
Okay.
entries just has basically a type, an identifier that you can use. And for QES, it will be something like EUDI QES as a string identifier. And if you see that metadata, you know, okay, there's a document that needs to be signed. And for payment, the same structure is used, but it will be like EUDI payment or something similar. And that has then additional metadata, like what is the amount to be paid and these kind of things that can be shown by the wallet. And then, so it's a protocol level thing from OpenWallet.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Interesting. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I will present the Docusign part and especially talk about the pilot itself and how did we arrange the pilot with Animo, which was a great experience to work with these wonderful people for Animo. So first of all, about Docusign. Docusign is an intelligent agreement platform, management platform, which aims to enable users in many types of use cases to manage their agreements in a way that it will ease the whole process of the agreement management. And the DocuSign started from being an e-signing platform, but we thought a few years ago that we need to extend that to something that is more holistic about the whole agreement part, starting from the initiating the agreement and until the management itself of the agreement. There are two major elements, and I don't want to deep dive into the all DocuSign functionality, but there are two major elements that are very important in the aspect of agreement management. One is the trust. I mean, people are involved in agreement. We want to make sure that people incorporate into the agreement in a trusted manner so that users that are properly identified when they interact with the agreements. And the second thing is security. Beside the trust and security, also the ease of use of the agreement. I mean, and both things are coming from the wallets. I mean, they bring to our world both a very strong way to identify the user and bring trust to whatever platform they are used. And I'm seeing a different. Can you hear me?
Hey, Anna. Yep, there we go. We're back to the deck.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So they bring trust. I mean, the wallets bring trust, and also they bring ease of use, and this is the most essential and important feature of those wallets. Anna, can you move on to next slide? Okay, so in summary, what we want from the EUDI wallet in specific and generally from any credential management digital identity wallets is, first of all, of course, the identity verification. We want to have the smooth agreement process. We want to sign with the QS because let us remind that QES is defined in the EUDI in the EADAS2 regulation itself. So the wallet themselves need to enable the users to create QES. And a small correction about what was said before, DocuSign is a QS, indeed a QES QTSP, but we also incorporate other QES solution from other QTSPs. So there are many QTSPs in the European Union, and many of them bring many types of technologies and security into the European Union, and we are collaborating with some of them. But the overall, all entities of the QTSP bring a lot of security and important for the flows, for many of the flows in the European Union. We are global companies. We want to make sure that the things that we create will enable all users from all around the world with variant of verticals and use cases to use the system. And for sure, it is relevant for many types of workflows and verticals. So basically, from our point of view, there were two main use cases for incorporating Animo solution with DocuSign. DocuSign is represented here a relying party. This is the main aspect that we think of the interaction to the EUDI wallet ecosystem. And as a relying party, we want to actually introduce two types of main use cases. One of them is the simple identity validation system or identity validation aspect of the EUDI wallet, meaning that a user that already is capable of incorporating or interacting with relying parties will be able to use his or her wallet to interact with the relying party or interact with DocuSign for the purpose of the identification. The second part is, as said before, to create the QES, and Timo indeed described several use cases of how QES can be used. And we are promoting more the relying party centric or relying party QTSP centric model, where both the application that shows the documents is in the cloud, the actual QES is done remotely via the QTSP, and in the wallet itself, there is sort of minimization to the most acoustic part of the wallet, which means that the user will be able to control what exact claim the user can share with the relying party and the QTSP. Timo said before the naming of whether it's heavy or not on the relying party. I would prefer to say that in an overall, it looks like if the wallet will also have to present documents or also manage the QES itself, it means that it may be very hard to accomplish all these tasks. And it looks like, at least in the first wave of using wallet, we will see more relying party presenting a content of documents, and we will see more the QES run on remotely than the ones that are used internally in the wallets. Yeah, so of course it was important for us to see that we adhere to AI-DAS2 and all the other implementing acts in the ARF and all the standards that are evolving today as part of ETSI and other standardization forms or standardization bodies in the European Union, so that in a very short time, meaning that in the end of 2026, which is the sort of the deadlines of all the member states to go out with the first version of the EUDI wallet, it will be prepared, it will be ready for all the member states in the European Union to use system and interact with the EUDI wallet with the relying parties and provide services to European citizens.
Maybe a small question from me in between, Acer, because this is something that seems to me quite difficult, that you have this deadline on the one hand, but on the other hand, it seems like a lot of people are not moving too quickly or not like, it's very unclear still. How is this from your perspective, like or from the DocuSign perspective, to find a path in this?
Yeah, but yeah, in one hand, we do see that there is, I mean, most of the member states, we see in their claims that the solution will be available at the end of 2026, very, very close to the deadline. But on the other hand, we see some movement about sandboxes in Germany and in France, and we see from states like Germany, France, we see that from other states, we see progress. We see some of the states, we see some versions that maybe do not cover the whole spectrum of the requirements of EUDI and the EUDI wallet, but they are making the progress. So it looks like it will be, we may not see a full operation of wallets in the end of 2026, but we definitely will be seeing that member states are close to deployment for some of those wallets. And one of the things that is also required for EUDI is that by the end of 2027, any service that requires a high authentication levels will be mandated to use also the EUDI wallet. So any bank or any relying party or any service that will appear in any of the member states will have to be able to be open to any EUDI wallet across the EU by the end of 2027, which is also something that will make a push for member states to implement those wallets.
Yeah, it's quite You
Time
really
will
cannot
tell,
do it without
time
each
will
other.
tell.
You really cannot do it without each other, I think, is this ecosystem. It's like so difficult. You have to be reliant on the national wallets, but you also have a
Yes,
role to play. It's yeah.
but it's interesting.
Yeah.
This is a description of the process. It very much resembles what Timo presented on the relying party-centric model. In DocuSign, of course, we are presenting the documents to be signed, of course, in the cloud, so the user can review the agreement or the document beforehand. Graphically, we enable the end user or the ones that operates the workflow to decide where will be the presentation or the visual presentation of the signatures. And once this is done, then the actual authorization process starts, where we will see also that maybe in the videos that you will see that the user is, when the user presses on the button that says, okay, I want to implement the QES now, then the user is redirected to the EUDI wallet, and then there is an authorization. We spoke about the hash, so there isn't this authorization that is based on also the PID of the user and also the hash of the document is done in the wallet itself. Then this authorization gets back to Docusign, and Docusign in this demo uses its own QTSP to actually create the QES and incorporated that into the document, which provides eventually a document that is signed with the QES eventually.
Yeah, and I think this is like one of the things that surprised us most, or not maybe surprised us, but like digital identity and standards, it is an entire world of its own, but qualified electronic signatures is also an entire world of its own, in which you like it's not easy to jump in. So I think we really found this as well as one of the learnings for the oh, let me check. As one of the learnings, like with this idea of the wallet-centric model is a very nice idea, but it's quite difficult to put everything that's been learned for ages into suddenly having to expect a digital identity wallet to do this. Let me see, why is my camera not showing? 1 second.
We can still see your deck.
Yeah, it's just screen time. Let me. What's it called? QuickTime. I only now switched to a Mac recently, so everything is quite confusing still. Let me see. There it is.
Yep, we can see
And
your
then
phone screen now.
instead of all of my apps. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so what I wanted to demo now is the actual proof of concept we built. Which one of the things I'm most excited about is that we really, from the Docusign end, I don't know if it was difficult or you always tackle it like this, Acer, but you really delivered the live environment that we know of Docusign, but then with some additions that enabled us to test the QES with the European Digital Identity Wallet. So what I now did, I have one, I'm signed in from the user perspective now. So someone has already set up for me a document in which they want two things of me. They first want me to authenticate myself before getting access to the document that I want to sign. And then they want me to authenticate with the wallet to sign. Just to make it clear, these are two flows that Acer also mentioned that we both implemented, and they can be implemented separately in the demo we now do. But I'll show you both. But I just want you to know that they can be executed separately. So I see the document that's ready for me. But first I see that to get access to the document, I first need to verify my identity. And out of all of the options I have to do this, I'll choose the EU Digital Identity Wallet, of course. I'll scan the QR code. And I'll get the trust screen, just as I did with the usual issuance verification topic. I interact with Docusign. Oh, sorry, a bit of a demo effect going on. Ah, I know what's going on.
Wrong wallet, I think.
Yeah, wrong wallet. Wrong wallet. So what we did is we have this European Digital Identity Wallet from Germany, or the German one, but it's still in beta, public beta, because we do all of these experimental features. But we also have our public wallet, which is in app stores. And of course, I have both on my phone. Let me see if this works. So this is the one I actually have my bit in. It's always good to demo a wrong flow because you see we actually handle authentication. We don't just accept any card. Okay, so this time I do want to interact with Docusign, and I actually have the required bit. I'll share the bit to show them I am actually Erika Musterman in this case. You can again see that I shared this information with Docusign. Now that my identity has been verified, I actually get access to the document. So I can now have access to this document that's been set up for me, and I can sign it. And because I selected 2 flows when setting up this envelope, I now also have to verify, I also now have to confirm signing this document with the identity wallet itself. And this is a different flow because in this case, I actually see that I'm about to sign a document that I just saw in the web version. I am reviewing the request, which this time states that the specific document that I want to sign is this document I saw before that I'll sign with Docusign, and that I'll use my personaalausweis, so my PIT, to sign it. I'll confirm with sign and share. And I've successfully signed the document. So you can see now that initially I shared my PIT to show that I am the right person to view the document, and then I actually signed the document with the wallet. And now the flow has been completed. So that's the actual demo we built together. I think it's quite a smooth flow, honestly. I have quite some issues signing qualified signing qualified signatures in real life, but this is quite a smooth and known flow. I don't know, maybe Timo or Acer, you want to speak to how difficult or easy it was to actually implement it?
I can say one word is that, okay, many of the things that you see here are based on components that are part of the DocuSign platform itself. So we didn't build, I mean, even the flows of QES and signing, it's something that most of the elements are there. The things that we did need to develop was the things that relates to the things that the wallet bring with itself, like the protocols and mainly the things that relates to the protocol and the claims and presenting the correct claims and so on. So these are the things that will require to be added. But yeah, it's I think that this really shows that when you do a remote signing based on a wallet, it can be done very easily in terms of how the user experience that, because it's the user, first of all, the user doesn't need to go through ID proofing because his ID is already validated in a very high standard.
Yeah.
And it's simply several clicks, and then you are identified, you're authenticated, you can even sign with the QES. So it can be easy and secure.
Yeah.
I think from a wallet perspective, it's also it's quite simple in this case because we use like the QTSP centric model. So we're leaning on all the existing QTSP functionality for the document signing. The only thing we use here is the PIT to to authorize the QES, and that's very simple. It's based on a generic feature in OpenEther VP that allows to add transaction data. So more than just presenting a credential, you can integrate it with transactions. And so we basically just, if we detect a custom transaction type, we render some custom UI, we add some extra consent from the user, but otherwise the flow is exactly the same. It just triggers a different action. And that's quite powerful because you can also use the same flow. Like we have some other UI elements, but for payments, and then you show the amount and to who you're paying. But that will also be the action behind it will be handled by existing payment service providers and whatnot. It just allows your wallet to authorize that transaction. So you have like this single wallet that can do that. And you can add other transaction types as well, which is from the wallet perspective quite simple because you lean on the existing infrastructure for it. You just make it more accessible for users from within their wallet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely a lot of potential. And I think also definitely that I think it's a good summarization of our learnings that the actual technical work in the end was very doable. I don't know if now that everyone will have to implement it, all issuers, verifiers, if it will still be doable to everyone get this expertise, because I think Acer's team in the end had to become quite knowledgeable about the standards and about everything that goes on with this. So you do have to invest some time into it.
For sure.
Yeah, or at least would you agree, Acer?
Yes, for
Guys,
sure.
yeah. I mean,
Yes.
I think in the end, we all agree that it does make sense to start with the QTSP-centric model from both sides, although it is very interesting from a technical perspective to look into the wallet-centric model. Yeah, these are some general learnings. I think we already covered a lot. And there's also some questions still, like how are we going to handle the digital credential API if all of this continues? And how will it work in the end with the actual trust systems and connecting to these as providers? Because as we mentioned, Docusign has itself a QTSP, but also works with other QTSPs. So this becomes quite a layered structure in the end. But I think, yeah, I think we already discussed a lot. We took quite a long time, so I don't know if there's any questions still now that we want to tackle. Otherwise, you can always contact us. And then I would like to thank you mostly for your attention and your interest in the topic.
Thank you, Anna, Timo, and Azer for such a great presentation. Folks, if you got a question, raise your hand. We got 4 or 5 minutes left. I got a thumbs up from Harm. Thanks, Harm. And Bo just shared in the chat a link for Bo, what is that link?
It's the most topical credential you can get now. I have been nice to hand it over to Father Christmas when he arrives, and
Awesome.
obviously done with Findo. I have a question related to that, but I was not the first here to raise the hand, so I'll wait.
I you are the first to raise your hand. Go for it, Bo.
Okay, thank you. Two questions actually. You have been also testing wallet interoperability with Findunet, and their deep protocol profile is important, and you are also there, but you didn't mention it. To me, it is kind of a shoehorn to get HAIP faster. So that's one question. And the other question is that will you also have available a organization wallet for SMEs, for micro enterprises? I already took one in use from Credenco myself, and that was really easy. So now I'm only waiting for the credentials as an entrepreneur, flows and flows of them. Two questions. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe to answer the second part. So for the business wallet, we are working on it. Currently, we are looking into still a little bit. So we're tackling it with our commercial platform paradigm. So we're still seeing what role will play in the open source ecosystem concerning the business wallet, but it will most likely work the same way, that everything we need to add it, we'll add it to Credo, we'll add libraries for it, and then maybe the most easy to use version we'll put in our commercial platform. So hopefully we will be able to present a sneak peek of the business wallet soon. I don't know, Timo, if you want to speak to our support of Deep a little bit.
Yeah, no, we should have mentioned that we support Deep because we are very involved with that and a proponent of it. So I think that's also what I mentioned earlier with Open Federation, and Anna also mentioned with education, is we're heavily using Deep for that, and we're actually interoperable with several wallets in the Netherlands and also some across the border with the decentralized identity interop profile, which is I think one of the most interesting profiles if you look at non-regulated use cases at the moment. So yeah, we should have mentioned Deep, of course.
I want to add something about the business world. Of course, it's something that is also very, very interesting to Docusign. It is, I mean, as the EUDI wallet itself is a new era. So of course, the business wallet itself is a new era, and it fits very well into the ecosystem. So yeah, so I think it's looking forward for that as well. It's important.
All right. Anybody else has one last question before we wish everyone happy holidays and I thank our awesome speakers one more time. All right. Well, with that, I would like to thank Azer, Timo, and Anna. Thank you so much for doing such a great presentation. As I said at the start, I got a sneak preview of this over the summer. It got even better since then. Actually, a fantastic demo, and I'd like to wish everybody in the wallet interoperability SIG community a happy holidays, and we'll see you all in 2026. This video should encode the next couple hours. I'm going to put it on the wiki, and it'll be in the OWF YouTube playlist for the wallet interoperability SIG. So if you want to catch up, you can share that with a colleague or follow up if you want to see part of the demo. But thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. Thank you so
Happy
much.
holidays,
Guys.
y'all.